is back to work for the Chicago Bears as they finished up their bye week, and they'll get set to take on the Washington Commanders, who may or may not have their franchise quarterback. In baseball, the cross country World Series has set as the Los Angeles Dodgers will face the New York Yankees, which will start later this week. In college football, Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes are one step closer to securing a bowl game, while the final lineup show why they're one of the best young teams in the Big Ten with a big win at home against Michigan. That and we'll have our 2024-2025 NBA Bulls preview special with our illustrious panel. That and a whole lot more at Second City Sports. The hashtag Monday edition starts right now. Welcome to another fun-filled Monday edition of Second City Sports. We're live in the living color right here on Sports Soul Chicago, along with Miss Lakeem McGee, which is she. I am Cindy Brown. Hey, that's me. You can follow yours surely on the Twitter, X, and the IG at CK80. Once again, it's CK80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow my Kingdom McGee on the Twitter, X, again, IG.
Be sure to download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, so Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our podcast. We are located at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are located on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And while you're ready, please give War Media a follow at WARR Media on all social media platforms, on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We're unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinion during our 2-hour extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show, you can always hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comments section. Lakina will get the up on the screen for you. But you decide to troll, indoor, do something silly, dumb, or stupid, I've given Lakina full powers to give you full ability and be a boot.
Toodles.
But before we begin, we must remind you, when the issues are fixed, you can get Sports Zone Chicago's programming, including Second City Sports, live in the living color on Roku TV. That's right, so celebrate the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV once the issues are fixed. So if you already have a Roku television, just tap on the Sports Phone and download that Sports Zone Chicago app. If you don't have a Roku television, but you have some handheld devices laying around, just hit up the Google Play Store, download the Roku TV app, and access Sports Zone Chicago through that avenue. So no more excuses. Celebrate the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV when the issues are fixed. Celebrate the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available once the issues are fixed on Roku TV. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Live and on demand.
Anytime, anywhere, once everything's fixed.
And you know we will provide.
And we're providing you with some of the best here on Second City Sports. We got an action-packed 2 hours or so show for you guys today. Of course, we'll talk. Of course, we'll talk about the World Series as it's now all set with our cross-country World Series as expected. Of course, some great results and some upsets and some statement wins in college football. A new WNBA champion is crowned, and of course, now we're going to have our illustrious panel of NBA experts as we gear up for the 2024-2025 season, which starts tomorrow. But we'll get to all that, including we're going to have a new friend coming onto the show. So we'll introduce him in a second and the rest of our great panel. But first, Sid, let's go to the NFL. No Bears game, no problem. We'll still have our usual recaps of some of the other of the games here as we start in London with the last of the London series games as the Jags, as expected, got their second win of the season, beating the Patriots 32-16. Trevor Lawrence, 193 yards and a TD. pass, but it was Hank Bixby who had 118 yards and 2 TDs on the rushing side. On the flip side for the Patriots, Drake made 276 yards and 2 TDs. Of course, he also led. Well, also was tied with Ramondre Stevenson in rushing. I know Sid hates that, but Sid, real quick, I don't want to get waste too much time on this game. But what do you think about that London game? For the record, I didn't watch a single minute of this game. So, what about you?
One, Tank Bisbee gave me 25 points on my fantasy team. Yay! Number two, I only had it on as background noise, and I watched it for all of 5 minutes. And number three, I think Doug Peterson for right now saved his job with that win yesterday.
Yeah, I think him and Bulky too are kind of safe for now. So we'll see if that's the case, going into the rest of the season. So we'll see what happens there. Now, second game on the docket, the first of the noon games here. Sorry about that. As the Bills sent a message, they beat the Titans 34-10. Not really a big surprise here, I think, with this score, because I know Buffalo really needed this win more than anything, considering what's been happening the last few weeks. Josh Allen had probably had his someone wondering, like, was he starting to kind of slow down a little bit? I know he got banged up in that game against Baltimore a couple weeks ago. But yeah, he threw for 323 yards and 2 TDs. Ray Davis, I should say, rushed for 41 yards at a rushing TD. Also, James Cook had a rushing TD as well. DeMar Hamlin got his second interception. Keon Coleman, if you had him on your fantasy team, you had a nice showing here, 125 receiving yards for him. So the Bills, on the flip side for the Titans, Mason Rudolph, 215 yards and a TD and an interception. But again, even with that, they just couldn't get it going on offense. Talk about the Titans.
Yeah, the Titans had a fast start leading to nothing. After that, the Buffalo Bills offense, as you mentioned, woke up. Josh Allen looked like the old Josh Allen, maybe an MVP candidate. We'll see about that. Keon Coleman, the rookie wide receiver out of Florida State, had his best game as a pro with 4 catches, 125 yards. And Amari Cooper, he's happy he's out of Cleveland. He scored his first touchdowns to member of the Buffalo Bills.
I know you got a nice little early birthday present with getting that trade. We'll talk about Cleveland and some of the stuff that happened over there in a second. But going to Lambeau Field, probably one of the more thrilling games of the day yesterday. Packers held off the Times 24-22. Jordan Love had 3 TDs and two interceptions. Kind of the CJ Stroud, I guess the sophomore slump kind of continues. He only threw for 186 yards. Joe Mixon, 115 yards, rushing yards, and 2 TDs. Nice showing by the defense as well for the Packers. It was a new kicker, Brandon McManus's game winner for about 48 yards to help in that final play as the time expired to help propel the Packers to that win against the Titans.
Yeah, Jordan Love still trying to get his groove back. He threw for 3 touchdowns, but also threw 2 bad interceptions. Joe Mixon, as you mentioned, Lakina, the Titans did play much better on the road than they did a month ago at Minnesota. Joe Mixon, 115 yards rushing, I should say, and 2 touchdowns. Romeo Dobbs, the second week back from that team suspension, 8 catches for 94 yards. The Packers, as we said before, are they a scary defense? No, they're opportunistic defense. They create turnovers, and they did that a couple of times yesterday. And they're now 3-1 at home, 5-2 overall.
So a nice win there for the Packers at home. The Eagles destroy the Giants in the NFC East matchup, 28-3, 114 yards and a TD for Mr. Jalen Hurts. 176 yards and a TD for Saquon Barkley in his return to New York. AJ Brown had 89 receiving yards and a TD. On the flip side, though, for Daniel Jones, 99 yards and it was sacked 7 times. So if you had the Eagles defense on your fantasy, you had a nice showing there yesterday. But they still looked a little bit iffy at times. Talk about the Eagles they didn't score in the first quarter again. They haven't done it so far this year, but they took care of business, did what they had to do against a bad Giants squad.
Yeah, I turned away from this game at halftime. The Giants disappointing at home again. 0-4 on the year, only 3 points. That's inexcusable. I think this goes way beyond Daniel Jones at this point. You mentioned the offensive line. They were terrible yesterday. Malik Neighbors was not in the lineup again yesterday. Jalen Hurts didn't have to do too much, like you said. He didn't turn the ball over in the red zone. Yay! And he scored on the tush
Yahoo!
push. And he scored on the tush push in the goal line in that second half. You mentioned Saquon Barkley. This was his revenge game. 17 carries, 176 yards, and a rushing touchdown. It was all about him yesterday. And the Eagles, like you said, they were dominant on the scoreboard, but they played the Giants, so they didn't have to do too much as they walked away with a 25-point win.
Yeah, by the halfway through the fourth quarter, they a lot of the first stringers were sitting. So
Mm-hmm.
nice. Yeah, so a smart thing by Nick Sirianni there send his guys. 31-29, another great NFC North game that came down to the wire as the Lions came back thanks to a Jake Fox a field goal, and that was the only field goal. Jake Bates, I should say, a field goal. For 44 yards with a little bit of time left. That was actually a back and forth game. It aired here in Chicago. Jared Goff, 280 yards and 2 TD passes. The flip side for Sam Darnold, 259 and a TD pass and an interception. Aaron Jones, he got a little bit banged up, 93 rushing yards at TD. Jahmyr Gibbs, 116 yards and 2 TDs for Detroit. It was really kind of a back and forth game, from start to finish. But the Lions, to their credit, despite knowing not just in the defense, they sacked Darnold 4 times. So I guess they were able to they don't miss Aiden Hudson too much, but a nice win for the Lions, to knock the Vikings off the ranks of the undefeated.
Shout out to our girl, Miss Christine the Queen Manica. She joins us on Fridays. She was the only one out of the 3 of us that picked the Lions, so she saw something that we didn't. But give the Minnesota Vikings credit. Every time they got knocked down, they came back. Actually took the lead before the Lions you mentioned with Bates kicking that game-winning field goal. The Vikings, they were going to be knocked off from the undefeated ranks sooner or later. I think they're still a good football team. Now, will the tide turn and them going back to being mediocre? We shall see. But for the Lions, a very good win for them. They still going to have to figure out some things defensively going forward. They still going to have to adjust to life without Aiden Hutchinson. It looks like they're gonna lean on more heavily on the offense for now, but it's gonna come to a point where the offense doesn't have it. Will the defense they have on the field step up and save the day? That answer remains to be seen.
They may have to make a move there before the trade deadline in a couple of weeks, so we'll see what happens here. Now, another game that I did not see coming. I don't think any of us did. The Seahawks just pummel the Falcons on the road in a new game, 34-14. Mr. Geno Smith, 270 yards, I should say, and 2 TDs. On the flip side, Kirk Cousins, 232 TD, but also 2 interceptions. So a little bit of the Elijah boom there for that Seattle defense. Kenneth Walker Jr., happy belated birthday to him, turned 26 a couple of days ago, 69 yards and a TD. I know DK Metcalf got a little bit banged up. He had a 99 receiving yards and a TD as well. But it was really the defense for the Seahawks that kind of propelled into somewhat of a mild upset.
Yeah, the Seahawks got off the gates running that first half, scoring 17 points in that first half. You mentioned the defense got after Kirk Cousins. They actually, for the Falcons on the offense, you mentioned Bijan Robinson. They actually used him, I thought, very well. 21 carries, 103 yards, and the touchdown. But you mentioned that Seahawks defense really clamped down on Atlanta's offense in that second half, just limited it to 7 points, while the Seahawks scored 17 points in that second half. So the Seahawks, we thought they were down and out. Well, they responded nicely with that win on the road. Now they're 4-3 overall, 2-1 away from. What's that stadium called now? It's not called the Link anymore. I don't know what the hell that stadium is called now, but they're 2-1 away from the Pacific Northwest, and the Falcons dropped to 2-3 at home.
Yeah, I don't know. They've changed the name of that stadium so many times in the last few years. I don't know. I don't know the name of that stadium, but yeah, still a nice win for Seattle. Across the country at a new game Central Time. We listen to Second City Sports. I'm Sports Chicago, Lee Kenny McGee, City Brown with you as we talk recap Week 7 of the NFL here on Second City Sports. Shout out to our buddy Spiro Diaz who had the call of this game, the Battle of Ohio between Cleveland as they host the Bengals. 24-14. The Bengals held off the Browns. 2 TD passes for Mr. Joe Burrow. On the flip side, though, Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles. It was confirmed earlier this morning. We'll get to that little stuff about that in studs and does. Dorian Thompson-Robinson came in, threw for 82 yards, but only threw for 2 interceptions. I think he got banged up too, so that. But he had we also have 44 rushing yards as well. Chase Brown for the Bengals had 44 rushing yards as well. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase each had a TD pass. So that was just a really strange game from start to finish up there in Cleveland.
Yeah, the Bengals took a page out of the Philadelphia Eagles playbook. They didn't have to do too much because Cleveland shot themselves in the foot. But before the Deshaun Watson injury, Cleveland gave up an opening kickoff return for a touchdown. I think that's the first as far as opening kickoff since this new dynamic kickoff rules began earlier this year. I know Nick Chubb came back for the Browns, but he didn't look like himself. It's understandable because this is his first game back since that devastating injury at Pittsburgh last year on Monday Night Football. But for the Bengals, their defense, which has been under maligned all year, and rightfully so, they stepped up yesterday and they put pressure on Watson in DTR, who filled in for Watson, and they got it done on the road. Now they're 3-1 away from their Queen City home.
Yeah, we'll see if they can get it maybe a little bit of a run going here. Last of the new games, you got the Colts holding off the Dolphins 16-10. Anthony Richardson's first game back, 129 yards. No TDs, but again, he really had to do too much. He was also the leading rusher. I know Sid hates when the QB is leading the rushing category. Tyler Goodson in relief of Jonathan Taylor, 51 yards and a TD. Michael Pittman, 363 receiving yards, 363 receiving yards, I should say, for the Colts. Devon Akin from the Dolphins, 77 receiving yards. Rushing yards, I should say. Tyler Huntley threw for 87 yards at TD, but he got banged up, so they brought in Tim Boyle. He threw for 74 yards as well, but it was kind of like a block game. So if you watch this game, I feel sorry for you guys. But the Colts with a nice win. They're now 4-3.
Yeah, the Colts defense hasn't been that great all year, but they did enough to win yesterday. You mentioned Anthony Richardson. He didn't look that great either, but he didn't turn the ball over either, even though he threw for over 129 yards. So it was a nice. This definitely was a Lakina McGee special, a low-scoring, grinding out game. The Colts scored 16 points. The Dolphins only had 10. I know there was news that Tua Tagovailoa is working on a comeback in a couple weeks. We'll see about that. Tyreek Hill, this is all you need to know, folks, about the Dolphins needing a quarterback. Tyreek Hill yesterday, 1 catch for 8 yards.
Yeah, that was pretty yucky there. Now, first in the noon games, the Commanders, no trouble with the Panthers, 40-7. Jay Daniels only played one series. He got banged up after a hit, I think of ribs, but they said they took some X-rays. He's all good. It might have been a little bit of look. You don't really need him to play the Panthers, but yeah, just sit him out. Get ready for that game against the Bears tomorrow. Marcus Mariota relief, 205 yards and 2 TDs. Brian Robinson Jr., I should say, 71 rushing yards and a TD. Terry McLaurin, 98 receiving yards. 2 interceptions for Randy Dalton. So yeah, I mean, there was really, I think they said most of their top guys by the end of the third quarter, so they really didn't do too much. So I know people want to say, oh, he's gonna be back up. No, I think it was just one of those days where look, you got the ribs. Let's not hurt him anymore. Let's save it for next week and just go about our business, just get the win.
Yeah, that was very, very smart by Commanders head coach Dan Quinn to do. After Jaden Daniels got hurt, just sit him out for the rest of the game. They were dominating the Panthers anyway. They led 27 nothing at the end of the first half. I did watch the first half of that game. They were very dominant. Their defense, Dexter Fowler Jr. had that fumble recovery for a touchdown to start the game. So the Commanders, they improved to 3-0 at home. They got a big, tough matchup against the Bears next week. We'll preview that game on our next episode this coming Friday.
I think the Bears might get a wake-up call, but we'll see. Going into Los Angeles, the Rams and the Raiders, 20-15. Gardner Minshew threw for 3 interceptions. This after Aiden O'Connell got hurt, and now he has a fractured finger, so he's going to be out for a little bit. Matt Stafford not did too much, 154 yards. He did throw an interception, but Kyron Williams, 76 yards, 3 rushing TDs for him. So another kind of blog game, but the Rams, I mean, look, they get their second win this season.
Yeah, it's another Lakina McGee special. Only difference is the Rams scored 20 points. Shout out to Brock Bowers, the tight end for the Vegas Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, 10 catches for 93 yards. Alexander Mattison, the former Vikings backup running back, he's now with Las Vegas, 23 carries for 92 yards. The Raiders do need a quarterback, but I don't think they have that guy on their roster right now. The Rams, it looks like they're starting to get healthy a little bit. They improved their record to 2-4, 2-1 at SoFi. I'm not saying the Rams are going to make a run just yet. We'll see in a couple weeks if they can keep this going. But it was another tough, grinding out win for the Rams yesterday.
Going to the Bay Area, 28-18, the Chiefs beat the 49ers, their Super Bowl rematch, 54 yards for Mr. Pat Mahomes and two interceptions, two rushing TDs for Kareem Hunt for his first game back. Brock Purdy, three interceptions, 212 yards. They lost a lot of guys. Brandon Ayuk, he got hurt. He's up for the year with a torn ACL. Debo got banged up. So unfortunately, the injuries has been a big problem for the 49ers. So and the Chiefs, look, I know they're the only undefeated team that they're 6-0, but they're not the best team in the NFL. I'm sorry, they've had breaks here and there, and the 49ers are not 100%. So I think for me, it's sort of one of those. I know Chiefs fans. Whoa, we're going to go 7, 8. Guys, let's slow down on that for right now. Even Patriots fans that year they went undefeated. They didn't talk that much, so I think people need to slow down a little bit. And they actually lost one of their top secondary guys for the year. So I don't know if the Chiefs can go on with getting these big breaks. So it has to kind of like go the other way for them at some point.
Yeah, you were thinking. I thought that the 49ers, even though I picked them to win on our show last Friday, they had the opportunities. They picked off Patrick Mahomes twice, but they just couldn't capitalize on it. And Brock Purdy, I think the last of his three interceptions, I believe it was going into that fourth quarter. They had a chance to cut that Chiefs lead, and he threw an interception in the red zone. I said, the 49ers are done. They can only do so much on defense, which they did, like I said, a magnificent job, but offensively, they just couldn't put it in. And like you said, the loss of Brandon Ayuk is huge. Juwan Jennings, their third wide receiver, was already out, did not play yesterday. So the 49ers will probably have to go out on the scrappy to find a comparable wide receiver. We'll see what happens. GM John Lynch has a lot of work to do.
Gotta go a little quicker with the rest of these. The Steelers beat the Jets 37-15. The Steelers, should say, scored 34 unanswered. And they were able to kind of control this game. I know some people, I know some Steelers fans were a little bit iffy because Wilson, look, people need to remember he hasn't played all season. So I think people need to kind of give him a break a little bit. He got his group going here, 264 yards and 2 TDs. Najee Harris run TD, 102 rushing yards for him. But it was really the defense for the Steelers that got that going here. Beanie Bishop Jr. had 2 interceptions. He intercepted Aaron Rodgers twice. They couldn't get it going on offense either for the Jets. I mean, they got it going for like the first half. Second half, everything just turned. So it was just one of those things where it's just like, what the heck happened here?
Aaron Rodgers, we know, is not Aaron Rodgers anymore. He can't run because of age and injury. Brees Hall, as I said last Friday, he should be more involved. He was in the first half. He got me 100 receiving yards, but as far as rushing, they got away from that in that second half. As you mentioned, the Jets could have put that game away in that first half. They didn't do it. Like you said, Russell Wilson didn't look good, but he looked good in that second half thanks to the running game and the defense stepping up. So the Steelers are 5-2 overall, 2-1 at home. The Jets, if they want to make the playoffs, they got to make headway right about now. I know they get Hassan Reddick back starting today as he ended his contract holdout with the team. But I don't know. Will we see Justin Fields on the field again for the Steelers? I think we will win. I don't know. On the flip side for the Jets, if they don't win their game next week, you could play the theme song taps for them.
Real quick, your studs and duds.
All right, my first stud will be from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Tank Bigsby for Jacksonville, 26 carries, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns. As the Jaguars blow out the Patriots in London. My second stud will be Josh Allen, 323 passing yards, 2 touchdowns as the Bills blow out the Titans 34-10. And my third stud will be Jared Goff. 280 yards, 2 touchdown passes as the Lions come back to knock out the undefeated Vikings 31-29.
Good choices there. My first one is Mimi Bishop Jr. He's the undrafted. I think they just signed him like a couple of weeks ago. He's the first undrafted rookie in NFL history to have a multi-interception game against a multi-time former MVP QB. So I know we got the game ball after the game. So good for him. He was one of the reasons why the Steelers were able to come back and beat the Jets. My other stud. Let's see here. I'll say Green Bay. I mean, they were able to. I think they finally found their kicker in Brandon McManus. He got that game-winning field goal, and they were able to hold on against a very tough Houston Texans team. And I'll say the Seahawks. I mean, they were able to go travel across country. They dominated the Falcons 34-14. They're 4-3, and they could probably very well get control of the NFC West.
All right, excuse me. My 3 duds. First, the Giants offense. 0-4 at home. You produced only 3 points yesterday. Another lackluster effort. Your head coach, Brian Daboll, and your quarterback, Daniel Jones, both of them may be looking for new jobs next year. My second dud is the San Francisco 49ers. You had a chance to beat the Chiefs at home yesterday, but Brock Purdy's 3 interceptions just won't cut it. And my third dud is the Cleveland Browns fans. Now, despite what you think about Deshaun Watson personally, when a player goes down and you cheer for him, I know he hasn't been playing well. We get that, but when you cheer a person's injury, I think that, in my opinion, that's crossing the line. You can go cheer and boo if your team is not playing well. That's one thing, but when you cheer for someone to get hurt, I think that's crossing the line. That's just me personally. I know many of his teammates, I'm talking about Watson's teammates like Jameis Winston and Myles Garrett, spoke up about that yesterday in a post-game presser, but you don't have to like the person for the way they're playing or not playing, but when you cheer for somebody getting hurt, I think that's just crossing the line. That's just me personally.
Especially with a non-contact injury too. I saw when it happened. Yeah, he didn't. And Marcelo, who called the game with our buddy Spiro Adidas, the CBS, like he called. He said, "Yeah, that's an Achilles." So, that not very classy. But however you feel about him personally, that was just not very classy at all. Now, my duds real quick. The Jets. I don't know what. Look, hopefully Hassan Reddick can get it going for you guys. But if not, I mean, you guys are gonna not good. Atlanta, what happened? Like, you had your chance to take advantage of a Seahawks team that wasn't playing very well, but okay, I digress. My other dud, I'll go back to Thursday. The Saints. I mean, remember when the Saints were scoring like 45 points, just dominating people? Good times. So you can say it's injuries or whatever, but yeah, I just think that the Saints just they show their true colors, and they showed them pretty quick. So I digress. Studs and duds for week 7 NFL real quick. So the Second City Sports and Sports. I know we gotta go to break, but Ravens and Bucks. That Monday night game is going to be tonight on ESPN. Also stream on ABC and ESPN Plus, and also going to be on ESPN2 as well for the Manning cast with Bill Belichick. Featuring Ed Reed and Scott Hansen as well. And the Chargers-Cardinals game will only be streamed exclusively on ESPN Plus. So if you guys watch that game, I commend you for that. But those are your 2 Monday night games across section there.
Yeah, and as I said last Friday, I'll say it here. I picked Baltimore in the LA Chargers.
Same here. So let's go a quick break. The World Series is set in a nice little cross country series featuring 2 historic franchises. We'll talk about that. Also, too, of course, college football. Some interesting results and upsets as well. So I got a lot to do before our panel, NBA panel. So let's get right to it. Keita McGee, Cindy Brown, Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. Football and baseball talk coming up right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too.
These new socks? They can be a real lifesaver.
And I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow my Kingdom McGee on the Twitter, X and IG.
If you have any questions or comments for us as we get into college football and baseball, you can hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments to the comment section. Lakina will get the up on the screen for you.
All right, Sid, I know we got to do this rapid fire here, so we got to get to as the World Series is set, as we talk a little MLB, as the Dodgers beat the as the Dodgers beat the Mets, capping off, winning that series 4-2, 10-5, just a dominating performance. They jumped on the Mets to their credit. It was kind of back and forth for a little bit, but they were able to, get it going, get their bats going and whatnot. Tommy Edman, who, was part of that 3-team trade with Michael Kopech, he ended up winning the most valuable player in the NLCS. A solid pitching by Kopech for the first couple of innings, kind of get it going there. They get a little bit of rest now. They don't play again until Friday. It's their 22nd World Series appearance for the Dodgers, and just a really solid showing by the Dodgers. They were able to kind of, the Mets did try, give them a little credit. They did try, but the Dodgers were just too much for them on the batting department, especially.
And Tommy Edman tied, I believe, an NLCS record with 11 RBI in the series. And as a team, the Dodgers scored a total of 46 runs in that series, which I believe is also an NLCS record. Lakina, you mentioned, we talked about the Dodgers for the last few weeks. They suffered a lot of injuries through their starting pitching. A couple of their pitchers are going to be out for next year. But wherever they had starting that game, they did their thing, and the offense had to carry them throughout this series. We talked about Shohei Ohtani not having a good game 3, but he bounced back in games 4 and 5. And the other guys we talk about, not just Tommy Edman, but don't forget about Teoscar Hernandez. He had 99 RBI during the regular season. He has some big hits in this series. And also, too, with the injury to Miguel Rojas, you mentioned with Edman stepping in and filling in with his shoes very well. Also, too, rookie outfielder Andy Pages, he had 2 home runs and 4 RBI in this series as well. He got the start at center field last night. So we always say that the whoever sets the table, your veterans had to step up and set the table. Set the table in the playoffs. It's the road guys that set the table for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And all of a sudden, you start playing as a team. And as you said, Lakina, it was a total team effort. Dave Roberts said that as much before their locker room celebration last night. It's a total team effort. You have 4 more wins to go, but he's done. I'm talking about Dave Roberts. In my opinion, I think we mentioned this a couple of times throughout the season. With all the injuries and the adversity, this is the best managerial job that Dave Roberts has done all year, throughout his tenure as a Dodgers manager.
Yeah, I think I know people don't want to give him credit for that World Series they won a couple years ago because it was during COVID and all that. But they with all the injuries and stuff like that, I think he showed that. Listen, it has worked so far. Now it might be a little bit tough to do it against who they're going to play in the World Series on Friday. But speaking of the Yankees, this is their 24th trip to the World Series. This is actually going to be the 12th meeting in the World Series between the Dodgers and the Yankees. That ties with the Celtics and Lakers for the most common championship round among all the 4 major sports. So, that's MLB, NBA, NFL, and NHL. So we're scoring at home. They take care of the Guardians after. I know some Yankees fans want them to kind of come back to Yankee Stadium. No. Look, the Guardians were able to kind of pull it off. It was kind of back and forth for a little bit, but Juan Soto, Mr. 500 million, however you want to say it, he hit that home run on Saturday, and they were able to put a capper on there, finishing up the ALCS, and just a great showing by him. So there's going to be a little bit of a battle here. We'll talk more about the matchup itself coming up on Friday, so they don't start Friday night, but it's gonna get a little bit interesting here, but I think the pitching's been really good. They pulled it off on the middle relief. They pulled it off. I think the Guardians did threaten a couple of times. They were able to get out of that, and Soto made that big hits that capped off for the Yankees.
And that's the difference between veteran teams and young teams that are just getting there before. I know Cleveland's been in the playoffs a couple of times over the last couple of years, but Yankees have veteran guys that know what to do. They've been through pressure situations. They know what to do. I don't want to say turn it on, turn it off, but they go up to another gear when the moment arrives. And we've seen that with Giancarlo Stanton. I think, in my personal opinion, he's been the MVP offensively for the Yankees in these playoffs so far. I know he hit a home run in that clinching game on Saturday. I knew that was coming. And so Stanton has stepped up. Aaron Judge still struggling to find his footing, but he has some good moments in the ALCS against Cleveland. And Juan Soto, you mentioned he's earning every bit of his future paycheck right now. And so those 3 guys I don't have a problem with. Now, as far as the Yankees starting pitcher, is really going to get tested here because you're facing Ohtani. Freddie Freeman, if he's in that lineup, he's still battling a bad angle. Let's not forget, we didn't talk about him in a few moments ago. I'll mention him here. Mookie Betts, as I said in that round against San Diego. Once he hit that first home run, everything's starting to go his way offensively in that series. And they carried on to ALCS. Let's see if it carries on to the World Series. Now, back to the Yankees. Their bullpen has been taxed a little bit too. And as far as Cleveland, you can tell with all the injuries and the fatigue with their bullpen, it started to catch up with it. It finally caught up with it last Saturday.
Going to be interesting to see what happens here. Now, it'll be interesting what the Rays are going to be too, because you got 2 of the bigger markets. I know some people say, well, Middle America's not going to care. Yes, they will, because you got Ohtani, you got Soto, you got Betts, who've won World Series, Freddie Freeman, of course, assuming he plays as well, and Aaron Judge. So yeah, people are going to tune in. People say, oh, no one's in the Midwest to the South. They'll tune in. They'll tune in. Anytime they say they won't tune in, yes, they will, because these are the 2 biggest markets. I know Fox is salivating, and I'm sure they're going to be promoting like crazy for the rest of the week until Friday. So we'll talk more about the World Series Friday and break it down, because it's gonna get a little bit interesting there, no doubt. I know I want to hear our predictions. I think we're gonna disagree here, but we'll see. We'll find out for our little teaser for you guys. Liz, Second City Sports. Sports with Chicago, Keita McGee, Steve Brown with you. We got about 10 minutes left before our NBA Power Hour. Let's go to college football week 8, and Oregon, no trouble with Purdue as expected on Friday. BYU beat Oklahoma State. No tackling there by the defense late, but I digress. Duke beat Florida State for the first time ever, like 1976 when they joined the ACC. They have not beaten. But yeah, nice win by Manny Diaz and his crew. Georgia sent the message to Texas. A little welcome to the SEC to Texas as they beat them 30-15, knocking them off the #1 ranking.
Yeah, Texas tried to battle back, but Georgia had just had enough of them. I actually watched a little bit of that game. I have my issues at times with Carson Beck. I know he's been putting up great numbers this year. Texas really got a taste of humble pie in their mouth. I know, a few celebrities that were there at the game last Saturday night, but Georgia played the best, and Texas that she's got to go out to the country. Yes, but it's going to be a question of how will they turn this around mentally, because the faster they do that thing, the faster they get back on track and winning ball games.
Going to be interesting to see what happens within the rest of the season. Miami pulled away from Louisville. It was sort of back and forth a little bit, but Miami's defense made the big plays late, and they were able to hold off Louisville 52-45. Tennessee, the thriller here, I watched a lot of this game. They beat Alabama 24-17. It's actually the first time that Alabama has lost to both the big Tennessee schools. Of course, you guys know they lost to Vanderbilt a couple of weeks ago for the first time in 40 years. In 40 years, Mike Shula, I believe, was the quarterback of Alabama that year when they lost to both Tennessee and Vanderbilt. But Dylan Sampson, we said that they were going to have to give him the ball, and they did in the second half. So he kind of led the charge there for Tennessee and to pull off the not upset, but to pull off that big win against Alabama.
Yeah, technically on paper it's an upset, but as we said before, we'll say it again. Tennessee is one of the top 5 defensive units in the country, and they had to hold off Alabama at the end there. In Tennessee, I'm not saying they're going to their conference championship game, but if they keep playing like this, I think they're going to run apart for a couple of those teams in that conference.
Could be interesting in the SEC the rest of the way. Iowa State, they're undefeated for the first time ever. They held off UCF. LSU with a nice win in Arkansas. A lot of people thought it was going to be a trap game, but it ended up not being the case. Clemson, holding off Virginia. Notre Dame beat Georgia Tech. Texas A&M beat Mississippi State, and IU just hammered Nebraska. I guess like Coach Kirsten Minnie said, at least they passed the test. Did we pass? You guys passed with flying colors. I mean, look, they got a lot of veteran players on that Indiana squad. They were able to pull from the transfer portal, so they were able to kind of pull it off. And now they're undefeated for the first time. I think this is their best record ever in the football program.
Yeah. Could the Hoosiers make it to the Big Ten championship game? I'm not sure, but they're off to a hot start. Their defense came through. They made Dylan Raiola, the starting quarterback for Nebraska, look human. They're forcing 3 interceptions. On the flip side, Justice Ellison, their star running back for the Hoosiers, 9 carries, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Indiana got it done. They sent the message early.
Yes, they did, and they're going to be hosting Washington. The game is going to be for a second time ever. They're going to be in Bloomington for their football side anyway. K-State no trouble with West Virginia. I know our buddy Mike Berber from NBC Chicago, NBC5 Chicago. I know he was sweating a little bit, especially when Brady Cook got a little banged up. He came back and led Mizzou over Auburn 21-17. SMU beating Stanford in the ACC. Yes, I know that's weird. Illinois beat Michigan 21-7. And if I see one of those jerseys again, I couldn't watch that game. That stuff was hurting my eyes. I'm sorry, but a nice win for Bielema, and the football team. But Michigan, find a freaking quarterback for God's sakes. Continue.
Yeah, shout out to Illinois. They did their thing, as the kids would say, in a dominating performance. As we talked about on Friday, Lakina, Michigan could still having trouble with their quarterback situation. They still the defending national champions, but their defense was pretty good. But offensively, it was a challenge. Illinois jumped on them right away. They had that fake punt early in the game, which really set the tone.
Mm-hmm.
And so Illinois' defense really came out to play. Just very proud of those guys. And Luke Altmaier hooked up with Tanner Arkin early, and that got Illinois' confidence up and going early. So shout out to Brett Bielema, the Fighting Illini 3-1, the Big Ten 6-1 overall. But they got a tougher task, as we'll talk about it deeply on Friday. They have a tougher task as they go to the Pacific Northwest next Saturday afternoon. They'll be the feature game on CBS once again as they'll take on Oregon.
Should be a good one up there in Eugene. Army and Navy, they stay undefeated. Army beat East Carolina, while Navy took care of Charlotte. Wisconsin, I know for people who were hoping that Northwestern would have a chance against the Badgers. That turns out not to be the case. They lose to the Badgers 23-3. UCLA gets their first win in the Big Ten. Yay! They beat Rutgers.
Shout out to Sean Foster.
Yeah, I know that Shepard's confidence. They're 35-32. Let's see here. South Carolina beat Oklahoma 35-9. I know Oklahoma got rid of their DC. I mean, right now they're very young and short-handed. So if you're South Carolina, you're probably kicking yourself because you probably should have a better record than you do right now. But you're well distance to get. You'll get to a bowl game, a good bowl game, I'm sure. So that's fine. NC State beat Cal, I should say. Kansas 42-14 over Houston. That should boost morale down there in Lawrence. USC had a lead against Maryland, and they squander it. They lose to Terps 29-28, and now Lincoln Riley has lost to both Minnesota and now Maryland. I'm surprised they didn't have a walk back to Los Angeles, because if he doesn't get it going here, he's going to be getting, as our late friend Lamont Scott would always say, going to be getting his pink slip and his link card coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah, trouble in the Sunshine City for sure. Northern Illinois, they lost a tough one to Toledo 13-6 in DeKalb. And shout out to my guy, prime time head coach Deion Sanders from the Colorado Buffaloes. They get back on track with a dominating 34-7 win over the Arizona Wildcats. Shedeur Sanders 250 yards in 2 touchdowns. He did have 2 interceptions, but it didn't matter because Colorado was very dominant. Mr. Wester, LaJohntay Wester for Colorado, 8 catches for 127 yards. Travis Hunter did play in the first half, but sat out in the second half to rest that shoulder. They got a tough one next Saturday night at home against Cincinnati, another Big 12 opponent.
Should be an interesting one over there. Cincy and Colorado, playing in the Big 12. Yeah, that's weird. Toledo, tough loss for Northern Illinois. They lose to Toledo 13-6. Yeah, I watched a little bit of this game, and just couldn't get going on offense. I know Toledo's got one of the top defenses in the MAC, so I knew it was going to be a tough one for the Huskies. But tough loss for them. There, Florida, they're quietly 5-2. I don't think anybody really notices that, but they've got a tough one coming up against Tennessee, so that should be interesting. There, we'll talk about that more on Friday. UNLV in a thriller over Oregon State. And TCU, I couldn't finish watch. I actually finished watching this game later on early Sunday because I was going to watch the Patriots Jags game. I didn't watch this game. TCU 13-7 over Utah. So some interesting results this weekend in college football week 8 as we're halfway through the season.
Yeah, and one more score to report from the Big Ten. Quietly, Michigan State are regaining their strength. They are now 4-3 on the year after beating Iowa 32-20.
Yeah, our buddy Ryan Field from ABC New York. He's a Michigan State grad. I know he was very happy. He had a pretty good weekend this weekend. So with all his teams doing well. So that's of course your results for week 8. Weeks 8 in college football. We're halfway through the season. Should be a fun next couple of weeks because there's some great matchups coming up.
All right. Stay tuned for more sports and more fun as Second City Sports, the Monday edition, continues. Next, we'll have our Bulls NBA Power Hour as we preview the upcoming 2024-2025 NBA season. You listen to Sports Zone Chicago.
The
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
And I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports, the Monday edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Soul Chicago, along with Miss Lakeem McGee, which is she. I am Sydney Brown. Hey, that's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can find my Lakeem McGee on the Twitter, X, and IG.
We have 1 hour left of this extravaganza we call a sports talk radio show as we enter our 2024-2025 NBA/Chicago Bulls season preview show. If you have any questions or comments regarding the Bulls and or the NBA, you can always hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago YouTube. Type in those questions or comments to the comment sections in your predictions as well. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you.
All right, we got 2/3 of our panel with us. Our third guy should be joining us in a little bit here. Of course, we got the one half of the CHGO Bulls crew. You know, you love him, we love him, Mr. Big Dave Watson. Dave, what's up? Dave.
Peace, y'all. Good to see y'all, man. Y'all are always fun to listen to. I love talking to y'all. Anytime y'all need me on here, I do my best to try to be here all the time, man. So thank y'all for hitting me on here.
Well, no,
yeah, happy basketball New Year.
Yeah, bro.
always fun, talking sports. Anything with you, Big Dave. Now, today we got a new friend coming on to the show. Introduce him, please.
Yes, he's the new Chicago Bulls writer for Untapped Sportsnet. He's covering the men in red, and he's putting out his own version of his podcast, Talking Bulls and NBA, all things basketball. He is the one and only Mr. Morris Banks. And Morris, welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you.
How you doing there?
Yeah. I'm feeling great. I have to say I'm honored to be on with Big Dave here, and I've tweeted this many times. Like one of the biggest influences as far as me actually getting into like Bulls content, Bulls coverage, was Bulls Outsiders many years ago, and that's a very entrenched piece of like my Bulls fandom. Is like y'all got me through those dark, boiling years. You know what I'm saying? So it's an honor to be on the same stage as you, man.
Appreciate you, Morris, man. We've definitely talked on Twitter before for sure, man. I really appreciate that, dog. That stuff means something to me. So thank you, bro.
Yeah.
We love collective. See, this is what we do best. We like connecting people. So this is one of the best parts about that. So hopefully we'll have our other our third member of our panel join us in a little bit here. But let's get right to it, guys. More. Let's start with you since the new beat to this whole thing here. Now, what do you think is sort of the ceiling, I guess, for the Bulls? What is really expected for them this season?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. When I think about what I've seen so far in the Bulls preseason, and then even taking into consideration sort of like how I was framing out a projection for the team. I wrote a season preview for Untapped Sports. I really don't see much different in terms of like what the outcome could be for the Bulls, because if we think about who were the Bulls last season, most Bulls fans would say comfortably mid. I think you're going to get some great action out of the Bulls this season just based on some of the roster changes. But at the same time, you look at like that defense, right? Like I don't have any high aspirations of like a level up happening with the Bulls. I think they're going to do just enough to, is AK's favorite phrase was last season, be competitive. But at the same time, I think, they don't have the pieces yet to where like you can expect anything more than play-in territory.
Yeah, I agree with that. My term I've been saying all this entire offseason is fun bad. That's what I expect the Bulls to be. It's fun bad. I expect them to run. I expect them to be in transition a lot. I expect them to get a bunch of threes. If I'm setting the over under on alley oops for 1,000, because that's the kind of fun I want. I just want to see that and let the young guys do their thing. But Morris is correct, man. Like the defense is going to be atrocious. Like they're going to be really, really bad on defense, and they're not going to be able to stop anybody. So you're going to see a lot of high scoring games. The Bulls might pull something out more often than not. I don't think they will. I don't think you can lose a guy like DeMar DeRozan and a guy like Alex Caruso and still be like a 35-plus win team. I don't see how that happens. So I expect the win totals to go down, but I expect it to be more fun and not as plotting sometimes because, and I'm not saying this disrespectfully to DeMar. He's a mid-range king, but, the Bulls offense, you guys saw it was a little slower because you got to get DeMar the ball and work it around him. Now you just give it to whoever and you run and you run and you run and you run and you run. And Kobe White should get more shine, and Ayo Dosunmu should get more shine. Zach LaVine obviously has to get more shine. I expect Vooch to have a really good season as well. But defensively, they are not going to be good. They're going to be atrocious, and they're going to lose quite a few games. But I still feel they'll be very entertaining.
I guess I had to pull out the tapes from the Tim Floyd era for bad defense, and I expect this team to play like that.
That wasn't no fun. That wasn't no fun, Sid.
Fun is not the word I use for the Tim Floyd era.
At all, sir.
No. Oh, yeah, there are stronger words we could use, but I don't know if I can use them here. I'm here.
But to answer your question, Keenan, what do I expect from the Bulls this year? You're going to be watching for a bunch of individuals to see how they play, and I know we'll deep dive into this coming up. But who's going to be on this roster by February, who's going to be on this roster, who's not going to be on this roster, and we'll see who the young guys will step up and take some of those minutes. And like Dave said, from the few minutes I actually had a chance to watch via my antenna this preseason, the Bulls are going to be fun to watch offensively, but defensively, it's just not going to be good at all.
No.
Yeah, I mean, like 120 points, but they're actually going to give up like 100, like maybe 20 or 25, I guess.
Right.
And it's going to kind of be interesting to see, like I said, I have YouTube TV, so I'm not going to be able to watch the Bulls. So unless I have have watch them on YouTube somehow, or listen to you guys.
Get a VPN.
Over maybe, but yeah, but I'm probably gonna rely on you, Dave and Matt and Will and the other will produce. So I might have to go up on you four. But yeah, I mean, fun bad. I guess those early after those early Fred Hoiberg years. I guess that's probably what I was looking for the Bulls will be this year. So for me, most of these guys are probably going to be gone. And I know Zach's probably going to be gone. We'll talk about him in a second. Vooch will probably be gone. Lonzo, if he plays okay and well, he'll be gone too. So for me, it's just like, okay, most of the guys are going to be gone by February anyway. So whatever.
Well, you hope. I know. I'll just speak for myself. I've probably since the Caruso trade, I've been pretty intentional in just being like, frankly, a lot more explicitly critical of Arturas Karnisovas and the regime he's running right now. And you would hope there's some turnover by February, but at the same time, like, I'm not confident in that because it's just like his body of work when it's come to these transaction periods where it's like it's pretty obvious he's needed to make changes, make moves, but he's been reticent, very reluctant to make these changes. And I don't see a bigger inflection point for him to like continue to use his words, working on his incomplete product or his unfinished product than Zach. Yeah, find Zach a home. Really, like, if it were me, I would be waving Vooch today. I'll just be honest. Like, I'm not thrilled with Vooch in terms of, like, what sort of, like, bounce. I don't see a bounce back happening with him. It truly looks like a regression. And it's, some Bulls fans may not want to hear this because it's so fresh on, like, the how awesome of a comeback this is right now. But Lonzo is expiring. Got to figure that out pretty soon. And it's like, I just don't have confidence that, like, AK is going to navigate that in a proactive way that executive of basketball operations should, given like his pattern of reactions of making decisions himself, dictating decisions.
Yeah, and why would you feel that way? He's giving you nothing to fall back on to make you feel like it will be okay. So that's completely understandable. I think there will be four players, I should say, who will be traded. I'm obviously Zach LaVine, or at least on the trade block, Zach LaVine, Vooch, Lonzo, and Torrey Craig. And you could throw Javon Carter in there if you want to as well. But I think those guys will be the ones who will be looked at by a lot of teams, on the trading block as far as, trying to improve themselves when the playoffs come, or maybe earlier than that, hopefully earlier than that, because I want to get this bad started as soon as possible. All right. So I'm cool with that. But I will say again, I expect it to be fun and different. I expect them to just get up and down a lot, and I'm expecting to enjoy watching that. Morris, I like what you said about AK is right. Like I like my GM not ever wanting to lose. I do, but I don't like it to fall into the realm where it makes you stubborn, and it feels like that's where it's falling into with AK a little bit. Like I like that he doesn't want to lose, and every year he wants to win. That's how I want my GM to be thinking. Like, well, do what you need to do to make us a better basketball team. I'm with that. But then you get stuck in your ways sometimes because getting a guy like Josh Giddey, who I'm not mad at, I have no problem with Josh Giddey, but getting a guy like Josh Giddey and getting nothing else in return from a team that has all the picks in the NBA is crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's wild business to me. How you walk away with nothing on that, man? Even Denzel leaving with something. You got to leave with something. Like you got to get something on that. So it doesn't make any sense to me on that. But he wants to continue to build the team that he had that he saw had success. And that was when Lonzo was running everything. And that's when Zach was here. And obviously you had Caruso. I get that. You want to hold on to that and you want to continue to go to the playoffs because, when the UC is rocking, the UC is rocking and it feels great and it's awesome. But man, you have to be real with yourself at some point in time and look and say, okay, this is not going to be good enough. We have to get better and we got to, tear down to build up sometimes. So I'm not saying, tear it to the studs, as my man Matt would say. I'm not saying tear it down to the studs, but you have to tear down that structure, man, and leave, as they say, the good bones on the building and try to build with that. And I need them to understand that. And it feels like they do, but they don't. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm kind of looking at and seeing, how it goes this season, because I don't expect it to be a great season, but I do expect the fun bad of it.
Speaking of one of the players returning, that's Patrick Williams. He had a contract extension over the summer, and it was safe to say, especially last year when Zach LaVine was out, Patrick Williams started to play a whole lot better, along with Ayo Dosunmu, and Patrick Williams averaged nearly close to 20 and 10 when LaVine and DeMar were on the floor at the same time. He was kind of timid, kind of scared to play, but once Zach was hurt last year, you saw the confidence in Patrick Williams grow more and more. Morris, I'll start with you. What do you expect from Mr. Williams this year after he got that fresh paper?
Yeah, that's a good question. Going back to the season preview I wrote for Bulls on Tap. Yeah, I'm taking I don't know, maybe I'm hedging to a degree, but it's like I've reached a point with Patrick Williams where as much as I want him to be successful in the NBA and I want him to do well, I've reached a point where it's like I feel like the best expectation you can have for Patrick Williams is honestly have no expectation at this point. Some of that is out of his control, right? He's had some unfortunate injuries in his career. However, at the same time, he's been on the court long enough where it's like, unfortunately, there's a body of data there that says like Patrick Williams kind of profiles like a run-of-the-mill role player. And so if I'm just looking at purely from statistics and data, I don't expect much of a leap from him. I expect him to be the consistently sort of like 10 points, maybe like 3 rebounds kind of guy he is. They'll get like those 3 to 4 3-point attempts a game. And it's like, I wish there were more to it, but that's just what he's demonstrated when left to his own devices. Like, absent like the garbage time sort of like, or in the season things where he just pops off for like 20 or 30. Like, we all wish he could do that more consistently, but I'm just going, what is his statistical middle? Statistical middle says he's going to be a 10-point a game guy.
Oh, man. Patrick Williams. So I keep saying this is, for me, the no excuses tour for Patrick Williams. I'm not giving him any grace. People are like saying giving someone grace, giving them this, and I ain't giving him nothing. All right? He done had it for all these years, bro. And that's how you got the check. You got your check off of potential and grace, because it dang sure wasn't off your stats. So you got the check off your potential and your grace. Like, oh, yeah, he's been hurt. Oh, yeah, he's had some devastating injuries. He really has. And oh yeah, DeMar is, there. People are saying like DeMar was blocking his way and he couldn't, be as free as he needed to be. Oh, he needs the ball in his hands, things like that. I've said those things because I was like, for the year they were happening, I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But once you start knocking those things down, it's on you, and my dad used to preach that to me all the time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be on you. What you going to do when it's on you? And all that stuff is going to go away. It's on him, period. That's it. It's on him. And I watched him this preseason. That first game, I was almost out completely on Patrick Williams. and it was
soon as he bounced off that leg, I'm like, man, here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
What are we going to do? And I was on the post game losing my mind. Like, I couldn't believe it. But then he came. But here's the thing. When he played a good game, I'm like, why am I losing my mind over 12 points and 6 rebounds? And I'm like, I'm excited about that. I'm like, yeah, Patrick, 12.6 rebounds. Yay. Hooray. And I'm going crazy. I'm like, that should be your minimum right there. He doesn't get that anymore. If that was a 12 and 6 in year 2 or year 3 or something like that, okay, great. I would have gave it to him. Right now, you are an NBA veteran, man. He's closer to 10 years than he is to 5. All right. So he is on his way to being a grizzled NBA vet. It hurts that he might be what Morris is talking about, just your run-of-the-mill, average, whatever NBA player. Because if you put up a silhouette of Patrick Williams, you would say that is what an NBA player looks like. That is what it's supposed to be. This kind of guy. He has all these tools. He has the size. He has the skill. All this stuff. It's something mental going on with him because life is like 90% physical, 10% mental. So he's got the physical. We see it. We know he's got the physical down. There's something mental going on because even rebounding is a mental thing. You know what I mean? But you shouldn't be getting out rebounded by Lonzo Ball and guards and Alex Caruso. They shouldn't be snatching stuff from you. So I expect him to have like 6 rebounds a game. That's what I want. That's what he should be doing. I expect him to have 12, 15 points a game. That's what he should be doing. If he's not giving me that, then it's a wrap for me on him. But this is a no excuses tour. I'm not giving you get no grace from me off of this one, dog. I gave that man all the grace in the world. Now it's time to pay dividend, bro. You got your check, you got your health, and you got your space. Now it's time to show and prove, bro. Like, that's it.
You're listening to Second City Sports on Sports in Chicago, our NBA Power Hour season preview special with Big Dave Watson and Morris Bankston. I'm Lakita McGee. This is Sydney Brown here now. People, I'm kind of the same thing with you guys as far as people is concerned. I mean, he's got his paper. You know, some people say DeMar kind of held him back a little bit, him being there. So, yeah. So, you know what? He's in Sacramento. Look, yeah, it's all yours. And I think for P. Will, it's going to be staying healthy. That's going to be the key. Yeah. You know, the last few years, he hasn't been able to stay healthy. So that's, for me, is going to be kind of like the thing here as far as P. Will is concerned with his performance. And if the Bulls are going to do anything, you know, this year. So I think that's another thing with that. Now, going into Martellus Buzelis, the rookie, what exactly is it that, you know, is expected of him this year, Big Dave? I'll start with you.
You said what to expect from him this year?
Yeah. What exactly is sort of like the ceiling for him too?
Oh man!
If anything.
I mean, I could easily say ceiling is rookie of the year, but Billy don't play rookies like that, so I can't really give him that. But I expect good things from Martellus Buzelis. When we watched tape on all the rookies this season, I remember his was the only one that actually made me respond verbally, and watching him and saying, "Oh, yo." Like, he was the only one I was doing that for. So when the Bulls ended up with him, and then I was listening to the way he spoke and the way he talked, I was like, oh, I know who you hoop with right now. I was like, I can hear it in your voice, sir. I know who you hanging around, and I like it. And I like it a lot. Oh, like, I can hear it. You know what I'm saying? Like, because my brother and I always have this running joke that some players just need to be dropped off on the west side so they can find their way home and put something on you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So modest about that. You know what I'm saying? You can hear them, the cats he hanging out with. You can hear them, the cats he hooping with. He has definitely been hooping outside on some concrete. You can hear it in his voice and the way he speaks. His confidence level is on 1,000, but he's not cocky. So I had the pleasure to interview him during the offseason in Summer League. And I sat down and I talked to him because I wanted to see if it was that real, what I was hearing. And it for real is. Like, just sitting there talking to him, even off camera, speaking to him. Like, this is an honest dude. Like, he's a very straight up, honest guy. And he really believes I'm the best. Like, period. I am the best. And I don't care what nobody says. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to show it and I'm going to prove it. And I don't like anybody else who don't play for my team. That's a real old school mentality. So I appreciate his mind. But now, you know, saying ain't like doing, right? So you got to get out there on the floor and you got to back those things up. What we've seen on the floor has been really awesome, you know, in this summer league and this preseason from Modest. He knows how to play without the ball. He knows how to, you know, not just demand the ball, but he knows when he needs it. You know, he enjoys playing defense. He enjoys getting out in transition. He enjoys doing those little things that will get a rookie on the basketball floor. But at the same time, his potential can be really, really big because all he's really truly missing is like a three-point shot. So if he gets his three-point shot together, he can be something really serious because mentally he's already there at the age of 19. And it's rare. We're talking about Patrick Williams and his mentality. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about Patrick Williams' physicality. I'm talking about his mentality. Modest's mentality is already there. He's got to get bigger, got to get stronger, but he's not afraid of contact. He's not afraid to go inside. He's not afraid to mix it up. He thinks I'm better than everybody on the floor, including Giannis. He really believes this in his head. So for me, he's got half the battle won. It's about adding things to his game, and getting the NBA time up under his belt. And I think going forward, I think you can expect something really nice from Modest Uzelis. So I hope to see him get some more tick during the season. I don't think Billy's crazy enough to just let him sit there or even send him down to the G League, because I'm going to lose my mind if I see that dude spend 1 second in the G League. But I think he's on the right path. I really do. And I think the Bulls got something. I think the Bulls do have something.
Yeah, I completely agree with Dave. The agenda I've been on with Modest since Summer League. So I watched all the Bulls Summer League games, and the analysis that I wrote on Modest, like I made a point to be just intentionally just intentionally kind of like put his offense to the side, because he's a rookie. I think the draft scouting already sort of pointed out that there's some rawness in his offensive game. So I made a point during those Summer League games to really lock in and just see what he could do defensively. And the very first game, what I recall, is like he didn't look all that solid on ball, but then and he was playing a lot of defensive possessions on ball, and he's just frankly like getting cooked when he's on the ball. But then for the rest of Summer League, he started playing weak side, help side, and then that's when I started seeing like, oh, there might actually be something here. Like that's where his athleticism starts coming into play, and then you start seeing him rotating on the weak side and becoming like this, effective secondary rim protector. And I thought that was something, and I wrote about that in sort of like the sort of recap of what he did in Summer League. But then let's fast forward to the preseason. That game against the Cavs, I think he's already started to make significant progress as being an on-ball defender as well. I mean, think about those few possessions where he picked up Donovan Mitchell. I don't think that's like insignificant. Like he really stood his ground, and he took on a all NBA caliber guard and didn't get cooked. I just think like that's what I'm excited about with Modest, and I think for me that's the case I would make to where like, yeah, Billy can't be messing up doing this G League stuff with him, because I think his skill set in terms of like those defensive reps, that can be an immediate impact to this Bulls roster right now. And because we talked about how bad this defense is going to be, like there is no rim. There hasn't been any rim protection. If we're being honest, we're being 100. Hasn't been rim protection on this roster in like ever. As far as it's been like the Billy Donovan era. Like, let's just be 100 about that. Like, rim protection was Alex Caruso, and now we got a guy who can legitimately do some rim protection finally. He has to be on the floor. That skill has to develop. And then along the way, then you can continue to trust him to like put in the work to, smooth out the edges of his offense. I'm less concerned about his three-point shot, because it takes a while for anybody coming in, unless they're just a natural shooter, unless they're like connect. Like coming in just starting to like get buckets. Like I want to see Modest like just really like ball out on the defensive end, bring that motor, and then also at the same time get him in just like a really focused role where it's like you see he has handles, so he can do some creation on his own. Let him just continue to come off those screens and get downhill. I think his offense will take care of himself just by doing that this season. So just like solid rotation, man. That's what I expect. That's what I want to see from Modest, because I think his defense will keep them on the floor this season.
Another player that benefited from Zach LaVine being injured last year was Kobe White. Me and Lakina called it that Kobe White should have been the All-Star. He didn't get that deserved spot. He was up for NBA Most Improved Player last year. Morris, I'll start with you. Is the ceiling finally going to come for Kobe White to be on the All-Star team this year?
Yeah, that's a good question. What was interesting about it, I've been very strong pro Kobe. Getting the extension and really like seeing him progress last season, it was awesome. There were some challenges, right? You did see Kobe towards like I think the second half of the season, where once he started drawing those coverages like he had drawn before, because people knew that like he was a legitimate offensive threat. You saw that kind of start to wear on him, and then he even talked about it in media day, right? As far as like he really locked in on his conditioning, his endurance over his off season. To me, that's sort of the tipping point that I'm looking for Kobe this upcoming season is how's he going to play through to the ball coming at him? Is he still going to be able to get his shot off now, especially with frankly, I expect there to be less spacing for Kobe because he doesn't have DeMar creating that ball gravity anymore, where so many of Kobe's shots, he was getting clean looks off of, just like DeMar getting doubled. He was right there to get the outlet. And, so much of his improvement in terms of the offense is a lot of those great either catch and shoot or movement opportunities. So that's like, I want to believe that Kobe has that ability to level up, but I think some of it, one part of it is like, yeah, is Kobe truly conditioned and ready for that offensive load? And then the other part of it is like, is the rest of the roster going to like actually help Kobe get to that level in terms of just, you know, creating a spacing where Kobe can still get those sort of looks?
Yeah, I always
Dave?
feel that those kind of questions are legitimate. But what I've learned about Kobe, and this is something I did with Jimmy Butler, and it was somebody who every year I questioned every single thing about Jimmy Butler because I was like, oh, well, he can't do that. Oh, he can't average 20. Oh, he can't lead a team. Oh, well, he got to be an all-star. All right, win the individual NBA award. Okay, well, you got to be all NBA guy. Like, oh, well, you got to be I gave him all of that, and I watched him knock down all of those walls. You know what I'm saying? And I said to myself, okay, I don't think I'm gonna do that again with a player. And here comes Kobe White, and I feel the exact same way as far as I'm not gonna do that to Kobe because all he's done is knock down those walls that people continue to put up for him about what he can't do. And I think it's valid to question the capacity of it and how big it can be. But Kobe is basketball insane, and I like basketball insane, you know, players. I read a report that I got Drew from the Bigs put up, Drew Stevens put up where Kobe had an interview where he was talking about what he was doing in the offseason to prepare to be on the floor more, and he was pushing himself to the true limit of physical exertion so he could be ready to be on the floor all the time because he knew it was going to be on him. So that's, for me, insanity, because that's crazy right there. That's the workouts he was doing and the things he was doing just to get ready to be on the floor. I think Morris is right as far as the open looks. I think the way they can come is by the penetration of guys like Josh Giddey, the penetration of guys like Ayo and Zach, and in transition. I think his transition threes should definitely be there this season. So when he gets them, he's just got to knock them down because he's not going to get a ton. But when he gets them, he's got to knock them down. He showed last year that he can create for his own self also. I thought that his handles just tremendously improved. I think we all saw that. It's tremendously improved last season. Especially you can go back, if you want to go back to that Atlanta game in the play-in where he dropped 42. I mean, man, he was cooking everybody out there on the floor, man. And that was, you know, cool to see. But when we did our Prove It segment on CHGO Bulls, my Prove It for Kobe was All-Star Weekend. I just wanted him to get to All-Star Weekend, whether that be an All-Star, whether that be three-point contest, whether that be a skills challenge, whatever it is. I want him to get to All-Star Weekend because that means the league is recognizing that Kobe White is legitimate. And so that's what I feel that is the next step and the next level of his development and his growth is to get to that point because he already is known, obviously, here, but I need the league to truly recognize it because his peers are starting to recognize his skill. Now I need the league to do it. And to do that, it's not going to be with winning on this one. So it's going to have to be with numbers. It's going to have to be with numbers and things like that. So I want that for Kobe, and I expect that from Kobe White.
Ted?
Hopefully, Kobe White will get that All-Star nod this year. I agree with both of you guys. It's going to come at the success of his teammates. And let's not forget about Lonzo Ball either. He's a great floor handler, and he can create for others. We saw that before he got hurt nearly 3 years ago. But I like what you guys were saying, that Kobe continues to get better, and that's what you like to see in your young players, to continue to listen, continue to get better, to continue to put that work in. And Kobe's been rewarded very handsomely financially, and now that I think he'll continue to grow, and hopefully it'll pay off. And like you said, Dave, in the All-Star Weekend appearance. Me personally, if he could, like Kenny Smith to a lesser extent, participate in a couple of things, including the All-Star game, unlike Kenny Smith, yours surely would be happy.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I agree with you guys. I think I really felt that Kobe got job last year for the All-Star appearance. And look, it's gonna be interesting because he was, he doesn't have to be the floor general or anything like that. He kind of be the facilitator. So that's gonna be interesting to see this new role for him. So I'm looking forward. I think he's only going to get better. So should be a lot of fun and entertaining too, especially now I got that fresh paper. And like I do expect it to at least be like par, like maybe a 3-pointer or maybe the skills challenge or something like that. Just could be entertaining though, nonetheless. Now let's talk the rest of the NBA as a whole, gentlemen. And I'll start with perhaps, we got some familiar faces in new places. Of course, Kat reunited with Tibbs over in New York, PG over in Philadelphia, of course, Klay Thompson over in Dallas. Who among any of the guys that have switch teams will have the biggest impact? Morris, I'll start with you.
That's a great question. I'm just gonna go gut feel. I feel like the Klay to the Mavericks move, it feels like it isn't getting as much attention as it should, but that's the one I think about because the changes that the Mavericks made last offseason where they had an amazing trade deadline that really fueled them straight to the finals, and you saw the pick and roll with both Luka and Kyrie Irving really being augmented by that lob threat that they had between Gafford and Lively, and just the additional contribution from PJ Washington. I think adding Klay to that mix as well. I can't see that being like a drag on that offense. Like that, I think that offense is only going to get better. And granted, it's not Splash Brother 2015 Klay, but the amount of pressure that pick and roll attack creates, and let's just say you have Klay chilling in the corner or even on the slot, just waiting to get that dump off pass. That's going to be a problem to defend. And yes, the West is tough, but I don't think that can be discounted. And the fact that you have Cat going to the Knicks, I feel like that opens up some breathing room for the Mavericks, frankly, to solidify their position as a top Western Conference team and not just be like this team that got hot at the right time last season.
Yeah, that's real. The obvious answer is Bronny James, guys. Now I'm messing with you. Oh
my gosh!
I think that getting Cat is a big thing for New York, but it also terrifies me at the same time because I can see why it could work and I can see why it could fail. And I don't know, but Tibbs has too many fresh knees to mess with this season, and that's. He looking at it like baby looking out the window, rubbing his hands, what I'm saying? Like that, looking at these. That dude ready, man. That's about to get some work. And Lord knows I don't want to say anything positive about the Knicks. You know what I mean? I hate the Knicks. So, but I have to call it what it is, like you have to see what the talent is on that team. And they're a truly talented basketball team, without a doubt. And they're looking really, really deep. I still don't think they get past Boston, but they're looking really deep. The Philly trade with Paul George looks great on paper, but obviously it's about health with those guys. Can they stay on the floor together and be healthy? Because if they can, they're a problem, period. Like Paul George and Embiid are a issue. That's who you're picking in NBA 2K when you're playing. Yeah, give me Philly. Like we got to run through some cats, but this ain't a video game. You know what I mean? This what's it going to do on the court? So we got to see if those guys stay healthy, and even having Drummond there also helps Embiid as well. Get more rest when he needs it, because Drummond showed you the time that he was here. He's still a 2020 guy. He can still do those things. So that's going to be helpful. I completely agree with Morris as far as Klay Thompson. I think Klay definitely has something to prove, because not only did Klay lose, you could see him losing a step. It's another thing to see that, but it's another thing to see him losing his shot. And it looked like he was losing that, and we can't have that. If he can't have that, he can't be in the league. We understand, you're going to lose a step. You're going to be slower. You're not. We get that, but he always had that rifle. You know what I mean? So if he got that rifle and he's got it right now on a team where they're not asking him to do anything but shoot the ball, and he's going to get wide open looks, because that's what Luka gets you, is wide open looks. As Derrick Jones Jr., for goodness sakes. Like, he's going to get you wide open looks. So, and Kyrie for that matter. They're going to get you wide open looks. And of course, shout out Daniel Gafford, who got another year under his belt, baby. Shout out to the man.
Bulls legend Daniel Gafford.
You feel what I'm saying? You feel what I'm talking about? So I think that's good. I think the Minnesota getting Julius Randle is a sneaky good thing. Honestly, I think it kind of fits what they're really trying to do, and it clears out space for a guy like Rudy Gobert. Gobert needs to know that I'm the stopper, and it's on me. Like, I feel like he plays better when he has that on him. And having Cat there, it just seemed wonky. It worked, obviously. Them dudes went to the Western Conference. I mean, it worked for sure. But I'm just talking about in sense of Rudy Gobert and his role. But because the dude's a really good defender. I mean, we can't deny that no matter how we feel about him. We can't deny that as far as, his skill set. So I think having a guy like Julius Randle there who, if Ant is having that off night, he's definitely a dude that can get you 30 if you're having that kind of struggling night, and get you that 30 on the inside. Don't have to sit out and shoot threes all day long, because Cat would do that, would stand out there and just shoot threes. Julius will get in there, he'll take it to the bucket if you allow him to do those things and score for you. And a left-handed scorer for me is always an issue. So yeah, I think those teams made really good moves. We'll see how it works out, because man, the West is deep, and the East, the first 8 are pretty much locked in. So it's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I'll add. So I actually live in New York City, so I mean, I've been getting like the firsthand like sort of energy or aura about like that trade. Yeah, I expect Knicks fans are like very pumped, very excited about adding Cat. I am a bit more pro Minnesota on that side of the deal, because I think Cat, yeah, it worked last season with Cat, but that honestly, to me, that was like the first playoff run where like you felt like you could trust Cat. I'm just being honest. Like he found the role and he found a good groove in that roster. However, to today's point, Ant, I think it takes a tremendous amount of pressure off of Ant to be like the main focal point of that offense, because I think that kind of was like the nail in the coffin when they were when the Wolves were in the Western Conference last season. It's like Ant just frankly looked gassed, and I mean he's not going to slack on defense, which is something I respect. I love that about him. So I think it's a win in the sense that like you bring in a guy like Julius Randle now, where it's like he can keep the offense sort of humming, like when Ant goes to bench, or like he can especially run second unit. It's a lot more versatility, I think, offensively they're going to get out of that. And then like the big picture, like long term of it, right, is they're getting, ideally they should be getting out of the second apron territory. And, that's a team where it's like, if you choose me, if the choice is Ant or Cat, I think you should always choose Ant, like in that matter. Yeah. It's like you don't want to inhibit that ability to continue evolving that roster and making that roster better for your main focal point, which is, Anthony Edwards. So that's just like a couple of other things like adding to that. And then also, I've actually watched a lot Sixers games. I lived in Philly at one point as well. I will say I think this is the deepest Sixers roster Joel Embiid probably has in his entire career, to be quite honest. Like PG's first like good wing since Jimmy there. So like if PG can stay healthy, I should give the Sixers a bit of an edge over the Knicks, just because like the head-to-head matchup between Cat and Embiid's on the floor, I'm taking Embiid. Like the matchup of like, honestly, who's going to get by PG on defense? Like, granted, he's a bit older, but I think just like that size on the wing, that's going to be a challenge for the Knicks. If you have both those guys on the floor.
Yeah, let me and I've been trying to. I thank you for saying that.
Go ahead,
I've been trying to articulate why Julius Randle's fit is different, because both of those guys can score and both of those guys do some things, but there's a certain rhythm to the game and a certain pockets of the game that happen, especially in the half court, where it just sometimes sometimes it could get clunky depending on what you're doing, and sometimes it could be smooth depending on what you have. And for some reason in my head, Julius Randle is much smoother in the fit for what they're talking about in Minnesota than Cat was. And that's no disrespect. Obviously, Cat is a 30 and 20 guy. The dude's dropped 60, like 70, like he's ridiculous. We get that. But there's a smoothness and a rhythm to the game that I think is a little better for Minnesota with Julius Randle on the team. I've been trying to explain that in my head for a while, but I appreciate you articulating that.
Yeah, you just trust Randle a bit more as a ball handler than Cat. And then also like, it's just somehow I don't understand how this is flying under the radar. Also, they have Dante DiVincenzo. So it's like,
with a chip on his shoulder too.
Oh yeah.
So it's not like it's not like the Timberwolves are going to be in this black hole of shooting because Cat left. Like I think they will be fine shooting the ball, and ideally you hope that they use this flexibility now. Getting off that Cat money, where it's like continue to stay aggressive going in that trade deadline, and really try to almost like same thing I said about the Mavericks. Show the league that y'all didn't just get hot this one time and shock people, prove that you belong in that Western Conference Final year in and year out.
Here's the three teams that I'm paying attention to going into the season in the Western Conference. One, the Los Angeles Clippers. It looks like, at least on paper, they chose the wrong guy. They re-signed Kawhi Leonard, but he's out indefinitely. I know some people say he should retire, but we'll see about that. Their owner, Steve Ballmer, if he had hair, he'll be pulling out right now because they opened up the Truist Dome. I don't know how many fans they're going to get in there after the first couple months of the season, but we'll see about them. The second team I'm looking at is the Denver Nuggets. I know they picked up Russell Westbrook. I want to see how many other guys they're going to have coming off their bench, because remember, after Jamal Murray's insane first-round performance against the Lakers, he was shut down in that second round against Minnesota last year, and they had a lack of depth on their bench, and that's how Minnesota got by in that 7-game series last year. I'm paying attention to Denver. The number 3 team I'm paying attention to is the Phoenix Suns. They didn't have a point guard last year. They picked up Tyus Jones. I know Grayson now. I know we hate him here in Chicago, but he was injured. I don't think he would have made a difference in that series last year anyway, but he's back. And so we'll see if Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal all play the majority of the season. All 3 of those guys barely played 41 games last year out of 82. So we'll see if those 3 guys can play together for the majority of the regular season. And number 4, Oklahoma City. Are they ready to take the next step to make it to a Western Conference Finals, to perhaps make an NBA final? I know they picked up Isaiah Hartenstein for the Knicks over the summer. He's going to start the year on the injury list. But I want to see if OKC can take that next step.
Yeah, it's a great point.
I definitely agree with you there. And for me, I think Dallas. Interested to see how Klay Thompson and Luka play together and mesh together. He definitely brings that championship experience and such. So I think that'll definitely help him there. I'm with you guys about that T-Wolves Knicks trade. I think the T-Wolves got the better end of that deal, because I think Julius Randle, hopefully can stay healthy, and that's going to be the key if he can kind of, get it going there and perhaps get that pressure off Ant. That way you don't have to shoot all the time. So I think that should help in that. Kat, like you said, Dave, I don't trust him with knees. Him and knees just don't. When we know what happened with Cat before earlier in his career, so I'm a little worried about that. Philadelphia, I think, could be a sleeper, like you said, Morris. I think having PG there and Andre Drummond there, that could definitely help with they have a lot more depth now. So that's going to be the key for Philly, especially if they want to take the next step, because we saw what happened against the Knicks. It was lack of depth that kind of killed them in the end. So if God forbid it does have to miss a long period of time with an injury, having all that depth can definitely help. And PG, same thing. The Clippers, I'm done with the Clippers. I think I picked them for the NBA Finals in the last 2 of the last 3 years. I'm done. Kawhi, he's probably gonna miss until maybe January or something. No, I'm done. I'm done with the Clippers. I'm done.
Unless they trade for Zach LaVine.
Hey.
Maybe.
Pick up the phone.
Steve Ballmer, he's very persuasive. Ballmer's very persuasive. He's very persuasive. So
Ballmer don't have a problem.
Maybe Terrence Mann or Highland. I don't know.
That might be him right now. My bad, folks.
That's him on
the You got the Ballmer bat phone going off right now.
You feel me? I wouldn't even be surprised.
You're listening to our NBA/Chicago Bulls 2024-2025 season preview show right here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid Deslakina. We're joined by Big Dave Watson from CHGO and our new guy, Morris Bankston, the Bulls writer from On Tap Sports. Guys, let's wrap up. We still have a few minutes left, but I want to get you guys' take on the rest of the Western Conference. LeBron James with his son. We won't spend too much time talking about his son. I think Dave just covered that just a couple of seconds ago. But the Lakers, of course, many people are talking about Anthony Davis being an MVP candidate. I know he stayed healthy last year with 76 games, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen this year. LeBron James played 70 for those of you keeping score at home. Other teams, Sacramento, I think they're going to be better than what people think. Zion Williamson, will he actually stay healthy this year? He's coming into camp in better shape. And also, to the Golden State Warriors, they lost in the play-in last year. Is this over for them? Morris, I'll start with you. What do you think about the middle-of-the-road teams in the Western Conference?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the Warriors just because it feels like I was just talking about this last night. Actually, we did. So we're in the middle of we're previewing the Central Division with at Bulls on Tap. So last night we were talking about the Minnesota. No, I'm sorry. No, we were talking about the Milwaukee Bucks, and somehow we got into the Warriors a bit about that as well. And the thing I think about is if you go back to that 22 title that the Warriors won, I would argue that Andrew Wiggins is the second best player on that finals roster. And it just seems like, Wiggins hasn't been there for a couple of seasons now. You don't have that. You obviously don't have that scoring punch that you get from, Jordan Poole a couple of seasons ago. And then GP2 was a really effective point attack defender. It's just it's all these little pieces that really, I think, held that last title run for them together, that they haven't figured that out for the last couple of seasons. I don't know if anybody that they've picked up since then or developed since then is ready to pick up that kind of slack to make the Warriors serious again. Pods is good, but how is he good enough to not deal him for Lauri Markkanen? I don't know. The team that really intrigues me in the West, and I'll fess up straight up front that I have a bias in this, is really the Memphis Grizzlies. I think full disclosure, I'm a Purdue alumni, so I'm a big Zach Edey fan. I have to say, even as a Zach Edey fan, I did not expect the level of transformation I'm seeing in him right now in that game. And I think the Memphis Grizzlies is the exact roster that could make the best use of that sort of talent. They've had the pedigree for a while now, between Jonas Valanciunas and then obviously Steven Adams, of just making use of that traditional big to be the effective screensetter that Ja Morant needs. I think that's going to be a potent offense again that can really disrupt whatever the pecking order of the West becomes. And then even you're seeing him, I'm kind of surprised they're letting, at least in the preseason, maybe it's a preseason thing, but the Grizzlies already letting Zach Edey try to get into some of his traditional post work they used doing at Purdue. The things that are very familiar to me from a college standpoint. I wasn't expecting to see that at all in NBA. So that's something. That's what I'm thinking about right now as far as the West is what is going to be the disruption that the Memphis Grizzlies create, because that's something that feels like it's under the radar, but I don't think it'll be very long.
Yeah, that's definitely what was on my mind. Is that disruption that Memphis can create, because Ja Morant is Ja Morant when he's on the floor, bro. That's Ja Morant, dog. Let's be for real. That is ridiculous. Yeah. And you're right, adding a guy like Zach Edey. Edey should be averaging an easy double-double playing in this offense. That pick and roll or pick and pop, however they choose, is going to be ridiculous. He was the best pick setter in college. Last year, that's what he did.
Yeah.
So. He lost a little weight. He looks a little more confident, because how can you not be a little more confident playing in Memphis with Ja and the rest of them goons? So that's just how it is right there. And I like his fit, and I thought that they went and got the guy they wanted at 9, the guy that fit their team at 9. I was surprised he went that high, but the team, when you know what you want, you know what your team needs, you go get it. You don't worry about the number of the draft pick. So, they're going to be an issue. I think the Pelicans could be an issue also. I saw Zion looks like he went and got him a chef. So he looks ready.
Yeah.
Hey, bro.
Ain't no more po' boys in Zion crib no more.
Hey, man.
Okay, exactly.
Them beignets are crazy.
The
you know what I mean?
Okay.
Listen, I was down there eating grilled cheese salmon sandwiches. All right. It was out of control. That food down there is out of control. I get it. But it looks like he is in really, really excellent shape. Brandon Ingram is still a guy who might be traded. So his play is going to predicate that too, as well, if that's going to be the case. So watching him ball out is going to be cool. They have a really nice team. They always have had a really nice team. So it was just dependent on Zion and what he wanted to do. Because even at his weight, he still was somebody that the league couldn't really touch or really rock with, man. So now that he's in shape and ready to go, and who you think the Bulls play open tonight? Oh no. So this could be a problem. So I think they're going to be an issue. Who else was I? Oh, the Nuggets. They're every year they go under the radar. The Nuggets do. I like the pickup of Russell Westbrook, as you mentioned. They needed somebody, like you said, when Jamal just kind of got clamped up after round one. They needed someone, to give them some fire, some energy, something out there. And Russell Westbrook has tons of that. And I think he and Joker could be a really nice combination together because Russell loves playing with big dudes. If you go look at his history with centers, man, like he's excellent with centers. He really enjoys playing with big centers, man. That was probably the best year of Daniel Gafford's career is when he was playing with Russell Westbrook. So, yeah, Russell's good with that. We'll see what he has left because he's coming off the bench, but it's also going to be dependent on guys like Michael Porter Jr., who understandably was dealing with issues, off the court with his family. So I don't think his head was too much there. And watching what Aaron Gordon is going to do as well, who's another underrated player in my mind. I don't know about Phoenix. I know Tyus Jones. I've always liked Tyus Jones. I just don't see like, oh, we got Tyus Jones. Now we about to run the West. That ain't what that screamed to me. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Of course, I love the Kings. The Kings are my second favorite team in NBA for a few years now. Now getting a guy like DeMar and watching how they play, they're going to run. And I love watching how they play. Like, they're not going to be dependent on DeMar to score. DeMar is there for those tough bucket moments. And that's what he's going to do when they need to slow the game down. And it has to stop in the playoffs or against that, number one seed team that they're going against. Then you get DeMar the ball, get him either a bucket or the free throw line, either one. So I think it's a good trade that they made getting him. And Keegan Murray is dope. And Malik Monk, you already know what he does coming off the bench. And yeah, they got a really, really nice team. So the West is loaded as always. And even their bad teams, who I expect to be bad, have like Victor Wembanyama and Chris Paul on it. You know what I mean? So they are loaded out there. The only real team that I'm like isn't going to do that I know isn't going to do anything is Portland. Like they're like Portland ain't going to really do nothing, and maybe the Jazz, but shout out Lowry. But maybe the Jazz also aren't doing anything too much. But yeah, man, I expect it to be another competitive, jumbled up season where we're going to be surprised at who comes out.
The West is going to be like a slugfest, as it's been the last few years. See that Steve Ballmer calling me again. My goodness. He's very, very persuasive. So I think that's him calling it. But yeah,
he didn't get all that money by saying no. Yeah,
give me Portland.
That's right.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, exactly. But yeah, well, look, the West is going to be fascinating because, like you guys said, Phoenix. Like I said, I'm done with Phoenix too. Like the Clippers, I'm done with both of those teams. I think Denver is going to be interesting too with Westbrook. Dallas will be intriguing. Minnesota with Julius Randle hopefully can stay healthy. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how all that goes. The Lakers, maybe, I don't know. It's just kind of weird how all that kind of okay. We'll see if last year wasn't a fluke. So yeah, the West, there's a lot of teams in the West that you could probably say could put in. I would say finals predictions now because look, a lot can happen between now and now. I'll say that for what we do our mid season portion before the All-Star break. But it'll be interesting to see what happens because Minnesota, I think, will prove that wasn't a fluke last year, going all the way to the Western Conference Finals. And as far as the East, I'll say my last question for you guys. The East is going to be outside of that top 8, as you say, or any of the teams. I'll even add the West in there as well. Who do you think could surprise some folks? Dave, I'll start with you.
I think the Hornets could surprise some teams. I think their issue is health, and I think they just have to be healthy. Obviously, LaMelo, guys like that have to be healthy, but when he was healthy, they were a playoff play-in team. Like, that's just what it was. And Brandon Miller is serious. That dude can play. And I'm interested to see what he looks like in year 2. And so, yeah, I expect a jump from that team. I wouldn't be surprised at a small leap from the Pistons just because of the new guys up top, the new culture they have. It has to kick in at some time, right? And I wouldn't be surprised at a small league, not like a huge jump from them, but I wouldn't be surprised at like a small leap from that team. I think Atlanta's going to be Atlanta. I think they're going to kind of stay the same. I think the Raptors are trying to be bad. So they'll be just that. They won't be a great basketball team. They'll be formidable, but I don't think they'll be great. We know the Wizards are trash. And the Bulls are just right there. You know what I'm saying? Kind of that team that's right there, you know, like clinging. I don't think they'll make the play in, but if they made like a 10 seed, I wouldn't be like shocked. I wouldn't be happy about it, but I wouldn't be shocked. I would be happy if the Bulls were like, if the Bulls actually made the playoffs, I'd be through the roof. Like I would be super happy. That means everything clicked and everything worked and all the young guys are doing great and everything was awesome. And I'm cool with that, but barely making a play in. I don't know if I truly want that because I'm just thinking about the top 10 pick selfishly coming in next year. But yeah, man, like it's kind of jumbled and I forgot about the Nets. Oh my God, Ben Simmons. But I don't know what the Nets are going to do. They're not going to be a great team either. But yeah, they could win some games because I mean they got guys who can shoot and who can play one-on-one basketball for sure. So they might be able to get something out of that. And we'll see what they look like though. I'm interested to see what they look like. Morris could probably speak on that better than I can.
I mean, the Nets, being here in New York, I think honestly, I feel like the Nets are in the lead for the Cooper flag race. They just seem like the best incentivized team to tank properly, so to speak. I mean, they've got tradable guys that teams would probably love to have, like, you know, Cam Johnson, even Cam Thomas, maybe, if somebody's just looking for like a scoring jolt. Selfishly, like I was on agenda last season, like I would have loved if somehow the Bulls could have got Nick Claxton. I think Nick Claxton is an underappreciated center in this league because you know he's both a mobile defender and he simplifies the offense because like he is a constant rim running threat. Like you get him in pick and roll, you know he's at least getting to the line, and he could always probably stand to improve on that. But it's just like the Nets have interesting individual players that may not necessarily fit together to create a winning roster, but they have an asset base where it's like, you know, sell off those pieces, continue to get picks. They really should be in the running for the top 10 without question. So there's that level. I think the team, like I agree with everything that Dave said. The one thing I'll add, only because it's fresh on my mind too, like having did the preview of the Bucks last night, I think the Bucks are going to be different than what we saw last season. You know, you have a team now where like Dame and Giannis, they've had a whole offseason to gel with Doc Rivers. I think even what we saw, if we think back to what we saw when the Bulls played the Bucks in that preseason game, it just seems to be like a much more cohesive offense that they're putting on the court this season so far. They may still need to do some roster tweaking and so forth, but I think you're at least going to see a much more consistent Bucks offense to where I don't know if I'm going to put them on the same tiers like, you know, Boston, New York, and Philly right now, but they easily should be like, you know, 4A, 4B with maybe like Orlando or maybe even Cleveland. Like I think they are going to be a much improved, more cohesive team. And then, you know, they go out and get vets like Taurean Prince. They go get who else to get? Daylon Wright. Like it seems like they should be a formidable team in the East. And then, yeah, just, you know, the Nets thing, that's in my backyard. So it's just like, I expect them to tank pretty hard. The Wizards, I want to know what the Wizards are going to do this season with Kyle Kuzma. That's like I feel like that's something that we need to be talking about when we get to trade deadlines. Like, are the Wizards really going to like keep running it back to Kuzma? Because it just seems like they're kind of missing the boat on at least like continue to turn that roster over with him. So those are things I think about with the East, in addition to sort of all the things that David mentioned as far as like the hierarchy, because I think it is pretty clear of like you have Knicks, Celtics, Philly in like the upper echelon. Then you have like this like tough middle, like a competitive middle, not the middle of the play-in, where it's like, yeah, you're talking about the Bucks, you're talking about Orlando, Cleveland, Who else am I thinking about? Like you probably would throw. I'm kind of iffy on the Heat. Actually, that's another team, right? Because in theory, you want to think that they're just going to somehow Heat culture their way into this, but this might be the season where it's like the gas is run out of the Heat tank. That's one where it's like I feel like they could be either way. They could do the Heat culture thing and just grind their way to a 6 seed, but they also could easily be like 9th seed again or whatever. Or
agreed.
Like that's the weird thing. And the one thing I'll add about the Pistons as well, like I do think there's some interesting things, at least on the offensive side. Like I don't think they're going to be a great team or anything, but it is interesting that JB Bickerstaff, from what I saw in some of the Pistons preseason minutes, it is a much more open offense already. And it's almost kind of like paralleling what the Bulls are doing, right? Where it's like you see the Pistons prioritizing a lot more transition offense, rightfully so, because I think that is a strength for Jaden Ivey. And that becomes another Purdue bias for me. Like, I want to see Jaden Ivey do well, but I think like he's on track where like he could be like in that MIP conversation if things fall the way that they at least look from the preseason, where like if he's starting to cook in transition consistently, if he's starting to hit a 3 consistently, even on the defensive side, where it's like, he's starting to be a little bit more like put together on the perimeter defending. That's the interesting thing about the Pistons too to me, is like how the offense finally sort of coalesces around so many of those like lottery picks that they have on that roster that debatable reasons why Monty Williams couldn't figure that out last season, but like I think this might be the season where they finally start to put some interesting things together on the court.
All right, last question for me, guys. Since we're running out of time, will be aforementioned. We didn't mention about the NBA on TNT. Of course, this is their last season of covering the NBA. Of course, they have that great doubleheader tomorrow night. Boston hosting New York, followed by Minnesota at the Lakers. I think Turner's going to present this year's coverage as business as usual, but I'm expecting some surprises, maybe some surprise guests too as the season goes along. But Dave, I'll start with you. What do you expect from the coverage of the NBA from Turner Sports for this upcoming year as they prepare to say goodbye to the NBA after this season?
I mean, I expect it to still be great. I expect it to still be awesome and completely entertaining. And the reason people tune in to watch, casual fans tune in to watch basketball, is partly because they want to see the post game of those guys on TNT. That is a thing. This is people I've spoken to who like, I just like watching them. I just want to see what they have to say and be entertained by those guys. And whatever gets you to the game, I'm with it. So they're going to be truly missed. I don't think they're going anywhere as far as like off TV or anything. They're going to get a check somewhere else. But what we had and how spoiled we have been these past few years, man, it's not lost on me just how amazing those guys were and how they were appointment television. And just those moments. So I expect to see those moments, those moments, vignettes and things kind of happening and showing us, oh, this happened on this date, in the studios and things like that. So I expect that. I wish it would have worked out. I still have hope kind of in my heart that it's going to work out for those guys, because we don't want to lose them. We really don't. We don't want to lose them at all. But the reality kind of states that it's not going to go that way. But I just still expect the coverage to be awesome. I'm just going to enjoy the season, and I'll definitely be tuned in.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Right when you asked it, Sid, the thing that like flashed in my mind, and one of the things about me, like I nerd out about late night talk shows. It's just like one of my quirk kind of things. So like, as a kid, I grew up watching like Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and even like the original David Letterman. I used to watch Arsenio. Like, that's what I think about when it comes to TNT. Is like it is a television institution, the same way like Tonight Show is, same way Letterman was for all those years. And that's kind of like what I expect for this last season, where it's going to be like just like Dave said, it's like it's going to continue to be great. It's going to be what we all expect. But because I like the gravity and the weight of what that show has been in the consciousness of NBA fans, you're going to get a lot of these, I think, like awesome sort of like reflections and memorials and all these kind of like cool tributes that happen throughout the season, because it's just like what a fixture that show has been for like I mean, honestly, the same amount of time as like a Johnny Carson or David Letterman. It's been on like, 30 years. So it's going to be big. I think this last season.
It'll be interesting though. Like, are they gonna have like as it gets closer and closer to like towards the end during into the playoffs? They're gonna have like different moments. Are they gonna kind of bring guys along to kind of reminisce? They're gonna have specials about it. We know Vince Carter's gonna be part of the coverage this year. Their post game. So for me, it's gonna be a little bit nostalgic, but I think they're gonna, like you said, so it's gonna be kind of business as usual as well. Because I think they don't want to, kind of confront the fact that this is probably going to be their last season. So. It's gonna be interesting what happens here, but Barkley's gonna have his say on stuff, so don't have to worry about that. But yeah, it's definitely gonna be by this time, I guess next April, it's definitely gonna be the end of an era.
Yeah, without a doubt.
For sure. Yeah.
Ted, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, like the guys are saying, I'm looking forward to the coverage this year. It's going to be business as usual, but couple things I want TNT to do. Maybe they'll do it at some point. I've seen a couple of clips on YouTube already. One, do not let Shaq take off his shoes to show his ugly feet. I do not want to see that. And number two, show a couple of clips when Ernest Johnson started in 1989 on EB on TNT. He had those Sally Jesse Raphael glasses, but he's been in institutions just like his great father was with the Braves. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to their coverage this year on TNT.
Yeah, it should be cool.
It's gonna be interesting. Like, where the other? We know Brian Anderson's saying he just signed a new contract. Got Kevin Harlan or Bryce Diaz. Will those guys, go to Amazon? Because remember they still got CBS contracts. That's probably the only place where they can go without having to compete networks. So that's another question that I think we'll find out as the months go on.
All right, this has been our NBA Bulls Power Hour, our 24-25 season preview show. We'd like to thank our panel, Mr. Big Dave Watson from CHGO and Morris Banks, our new friend of the show from On Tap Sports. He covers the Bulls for that great website. Dave, where can the lovely people follow you on social media?
Follow me on Twitter, BAWL Sports, BOW Sports. CHGO_Bulls is the account on Twitter. Big Dave CHGO is on Instagram, and yeah, check us out. We're doing the show today, 5 days a week, baby. The season is on the way. Basketball crazy is about to begin in my brain, and I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
I just want to say quickly before we get to Morris, Dave, I just want to say this publicly. Congratulations on you getting Tony Gill. He's going to be a great addition to you guys over there at CHGO.
Yeah.
Just don't ask him about Reggie Miller. Great. He has silly takes. Yeah, he has silly takes on Reggie Miller. I'll leave it at that. And you guys' coverage is already great with Will Perdue. Congratulations to you guys. Add him on to your team for this year.
Thank you, man. No, that is a huge deal for both those guys. When I saw Tony after it was announced, we just looked and laughed and we hugged each other because that's all it needed to be said. It was just so excited. You know what I mean? I was like, dude, because I know, you guys know the greatness of Tony Gill. So yeah, I already know what it's going to be with Tony, and it already has been that already since he started. And just getting Will Perdue and being able to chop it up with him, you know what I'm saying, on a regular basis. And it's always like I tell him all the time, dude, like 9-year-old me is freaking out right now, Will. Like, you don't even understand. So, so it's really cool. It's really cool, man. And I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, it's gonna be
no problem.
Will's definitely gonna bring something, especially from a former player's perspective, to you, to the three of you guys. Yeah. So yeah, definitely gonna fit in with you three. So should be exciting.
Appreciate
it. Yeah, Morris, where can people follow you on social media?
Your work, yeah.
Yes, you can find my work at Bulls on Tap, part of the On Tap Sports Network. Our handle on the Bulls on Tap handle on Twitter or X, whichever one you prefer to call it, is Bulls on Tap, at Bulls on Tap. You can find me also personally on X, Twitter at MoBanks10, and then also on IG at MoBanks10.bball. So that's where I'm at.
Sir.
Nice. All right, guys. It's been so much fun. Morris, definitely going to have you back on. And Dave, tell Matt. Tell Matt that I want to talk to him later, and I'm sure he has reasons for not coming on with us today. I'm sure something came up, but we're not going to be too mad at him. But But yeah, thank you guys again. We'll definitely do this again in the middle, later this season, probably right before the All-Star break. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
All right.
Steve
All right,
Ballmer.
stay
All right,
safe.
thanks, guys.
All right, stay safe.
Yep.
He calling me now.
Oh my
God. Right on cue.
On cue.
Oh, goodness.
Nice,
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Must continue
All
success.
right, see ya.
Thank you.
All
Appreciate
right.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
Morris.
you for having me on. I appreciate this.
All
No
right.
problem.
All right, we'll bring you back on later on this year.
Yeah. Love to be back on. Y'all have a good
All
day.
right, take care.
Mo.
All right.
All right, you too. All right, that was Big Dave Watson, Morris Bankston here on Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. And that's our NBA season preview special. Sid, close us out.
All right, you can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow my Kingdom McGee on the Twitter, X and Kids again, IG.
Be sure to download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms. Please subscribe to our podcast. We are located at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are located on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And while you're ready, give War Media a follow at WARR Media on all social media platforms. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Be sure to catch Second City Sports live in living color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago. One more again, as the kids would say. Be sure to catch Second City Sports live in living color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
And of course, hopefully we'll be back on there soon. But you get Sports Zone Chicago anytime, anywhere on Roku TV. Of course, go to Roku TV once we get everything fixed. Type in Sports Zone Chicago, whatever device you got, you can catch our show, Sean and Maya, the Smoke Fellas, What's Up Fellas, and a whole lot more. Once we get back up and running here on Sports Zone Chicago, you can catch us on Roku TV anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, we will provide.
Of course, once again, thanks to Big Dave Watson from CHGO Bulls and Bulls on Tap writer and host Morris Bankston here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid, some breaking news here from the NFL. We've got some flexing going on, Sid, as I believe the Jags. Wait, let me get this up here real quick. But because I believe the Jags and the Vikings, with the Vikings with their great record, despite their loss yesterday to Detroit, the Colts-Vikings game will be played on Sunday Night Football at 8:20 Eastern Time. That'll be on week 9, so that's next week. While the Jags and Eagles will move to the 4:05 slot, the single-header game on CBS.
All right, NFL always making moves to accommodate the fans, and that's just another example right there. Programming note real quick, as far as the NBA I mentioned, tomorrow kicks off the 2024-2025 NBA season. TNT has that doubleheader. Boston hosted the New York Knicks. Of course, the Celtics will get their rings, followed by Minnesota at Los Angeles to take on the Lakers. That's at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on TNT. The Bulls will open up their season this Wednesday at New Orleans against the Pelicans. That's at 7 o'clock local time on CHSN. For those of you that have satellite service, you have no problem. For those of you like the rest of us, we have to bust out an antennas or bust out a VPN. For those of you who want to watch that game nationwide, subscribe to NBA League Pass. You know where to go get it. And of course, the Bulls home opener will be on Saturday against the Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll talk about that game on Friday. But the Bulls will open up their season this Wednesday at New Orleans against the Pelicans.
Should be a fun matchup. And Zion has looked a lot leaner, had a little bit of muscle too.
Put that gumbo down.
Yeah, I'll say get rid of those beignets. Those beignets could definitely pack on the pounds. I know he's got a personal chef now, like Mo said earlier. So should be interesting to see how he looks. And hopefully, he can stay healthy as well. And we'll see how the Bulls look. So we'll see.
Yes.
Oh, and a special shout out to New York Liberty for beating the Minnesota Lynx to win the WNBA Finals. I didn't watch a single minute of that game, unfortunately, but it looked exciting. And Brianna Stewart already has a big basketball resume. Of course, she won all 4 times. She was at UConn. Now this is her 3rd NBA title. Sabrina Ionescu finally gets her first title of any kind. So congrats to her. and the rest of the Liberties. So yeah, their first title. So congrats to the Liberty.
Yes, congratulations to the New York Liberty in the WNBA, and Spike Lee too for supporting the WNBA. I know he was there for all the home games for the Liberty. So congratulations to the entire organization.
All right, so enjoy the well, you get a little bit of, you gotta chill for a few days before the baseball before it comes back on Friday. We'll talk more in depth about the World Series between the Dodgers and the Yankees on Friday. Now, of course, we'll talk some Bears as they're going to be back in action on Sunday against Commanders. Hopefully, we'll have somebody from DC to preview the game with us here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, and enjoy the opening week of the NBA season. Look, there's nothing else on us, so you guys have no excuse. All you knuckleheads that want to wait till Christmas, listen, it's getting exciting now, so we'll see what happens. All the great basketball coming up next, and also too, I know there's going to be a lot of exhibition basketball on the college side too. Going to be showing a lot this week as well. So enjoy all the hoops and gear up for that World Series in week 8 of the NFL, week 9 of college football. Gear it up for that. So for Sid, I'm Mackenzie. Has been, at least for me to say, Second City Sports on Sports in Chicago. We'll see you guys Friday.
Only the Bulls. Holla!